Alice in the story Alice in Wonderland, she's based on Alice Liddell, who is part of a family that the author Lewis Carroll, aka Charles Dodson, would tell stories to these three young girls, and Alice was one of them. In the story, anyway, she's a very precocious, smart little girl. She's innocent, but she's not your typical sweet princess kind of heroine. She actually has a lot of spunk to her. She's not afraid to speak her mind. In the story, there's quite a bit of riddles and wordplay and all sorts of logic games, and Alice gets right in there and holds her own when she meets these crazy characters. The story Alice in Wonderland, and there's two books, there's Alice in Wonderland and there's Alice Through the Looking Glass. There's quite a lot of vignettes and characters and stories within stories and songs and poems within those stories, so it's a very dense story. And of course it would be impossible to include all of those vignettes and all of those characters. So the ballet has sort of condensed down maybe the most memorable characters and stories in the first book, and then there's a few characters that show up from Through the Looking Glass, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Also the Jabberwocky, that's actually part of a poem in the Through the Looking Glass story. And the Jabberwocky shows up in the ballet as the Queen's pet dragon. Lewis Carroll is actually a character who shows up in the ballet as the storyteller, which of course isn't part of the books. So the choreographer has taken the characters, some of the main characters in the Wonderland, and he's given them alter egos that are part of Alice's real family. So for example, the Queen of Hearts is Alice's mother, and the King of Hearts is Alice's father, and Tweedledee and Tweedledum are Alice's sisters. You can imagine if you're creating a really fantastical ballet with a lot of kind of ridiculous scenarios, the choreography has to match. So the choreography is a little wild in some places, and there's a lot of really interesting partnering. I say interesting and I mean kind of crazy. The whole point is to create this effect of a lot of whimsy. Alice in Wonderland will reach a really broad audience, families, kids, adults, couples, just because there are some scenes that are simply fun and whimsical, and then there are scenes that might have a little bit more drama to them.